Am I sitting in the center of my couch? I hope I don't look too weird sitting here. Is my posture straight? Does my voice sound raspy? I should drink more water so my voice sounds clear. Is the lighting too bright? Maybe I should close my window a little bit. I hope I don't sound annoying. I hope my hair looks neat. Are there any stray hairs sticking out? Does my posture look weird?
You might have heard of the phrase, focus on progress, not perfection. A few years ago, I actually made a poster that says this, and thought it was pretty good advice for someone who is a perfectionist. But if you're a perfectionist, you might know that there's a lot more to perfectionism than you might think. Being a perfectionist means setting extremely high expectations for yourself. Sometimes I think that is a good thing because you're striving to be better, right? But where do you draw the line when you search for better? Why is it that sometimes fussing over all the small details and constantly refining, you end up making things so complicated for yourself? Why not just accept things for the way they are? And that is because perfectionism is a moving target. As a creative person, I live for the details in my work and in life. When I draw, my face is literally inches away from my canvas because I want to make sure that every single square inch is filled with color. When I worked at a design agency a while ago, I was always told to triple check my work to make sure everything was pixel perfect. And when you look closely at a painting, or the design of a menu at a restaurant, or even the packaging of a product, there are so many layers of information to absorb from these things, and it's so comforting because you know that these things were made with the utmost care and attention. But sometimes I feel like being a perfectionist can be really suffocating sometimes. You're always thinking to yourself, this could be better, and then the better you get, the more you see your shortcomings. I really struggle with knowing where to draw the line. When will this never-ending cycle of self-sabotage come to an end? We don't know. I do pride myself in the pursuit of quality though. I pride myself in having the motivation and the desire to create the best of anything and everything. But I also appreciate when things are imperfect. I feel a bit sentimental when I see something that isn't perfect because I somehow still manage to see the beauty in it. Like the little chips in my dining plates, my buzz card that has been worn down and is a little dirty after being used for many years, a random drawing that I did when I was 5 years old. It's weird because I can accept the imperfections in other things, but not in myself at the present moment. I think it's when I have an obsession over quality that gives me the most damage, that makes me feel the most insecure. When I have this obsessive mindset, I no longer give myself the space to make mistakes. And in a way, this obsessive perfectionism feels like censorship. It's like I'm censoring myself from being as open and honest and genuine as I could be, which is why I think that having this obsessive mindset can be so damaging and dangerous for my emotional well-being. And most of all, it negatively affects my potential in being able to create a special kind of work. There are always these standards that I want to reach, right? It's like me posting this video onto the internet, but it'll just live in this massive sea of content. And it's scary because even if I do make the best video I could ever make, and even though I'm reaching for that perfection, my video will probably never be perfect because perfectionism does not exist. But despite all of this, there is one thing that has helped me overcome this perfectionist mentality, and that is accepting the imperfection and impermanence of things. I want to show you one thing. In high school, I made this cup, and this is a clay cup that I spent hours sculpting. It's just a small teacup that was made with like a brown clay. I don't really know what clay it is. When we all finished sculpting our cups, our teacher told us to go outside and drop them onto the concrete. So I was a little weary about that because I spent so many hours trying to make this perfect, but I was getting graded on this, so I had to do it. So I went outside and I dropped this cup onto the concrete at my school, and I just looked at this pile of shattered pieces that my cup had broken into. Then afterwards, my teacher told us to bring all these pieces back in to start the process of gluing them back together. And I was like, you're telling me I had to drop this cup, break it into a million pieces, and then glue them back together? But then I glued the pieces back together, and then our teacher gave us some gold to fill the cracks with. So that's why you kind of see the gold shimmering from the cracks of this cup. This process is called kintsugi, which is a Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by mending it together with some glue and gold. So in this way, instead of hiding the damage, we highlighted it with the gold. And now, 10 years later, whenever I see this kintsugi, I feel a little sentimental about it. It really serves as a reminder that making mistakes can lead to a different kind of beauty. And at first, the results may not be as beautiful as you thought it would be, but it reminds us that nothing truly stays the same forever. Because every time I look at this cup, I think about all the work I did to make this cup happen. I feel like it gets more beautiful as time passes. So right now, this process of accepting imperfections is always something that I need to remind myself. Sometimes I forget that I can accept them. I get so lost in the sauce that I go back to my perfectionistic tendencies. But I think slowly, as my mindset grows, I start allowing myself to lower my expectations and just let myself be free in my work. Just let go of all this tension and this stress that I feel, because I end up realizing that there's really no point. Why am I stressed over this tiny little detail when, in the grand scheme of things, it's literally just a pixel or a dot on a piece of paper? And this might sound kind of weird, but whenever I do physically feel myself really stressed and tense, I try to create a really comfortable area and space for me to work in. Before I start working on any kind of project, I usually love to take a nice warm shower, and I also put on, my ugliest sweatpants and my oldest t-shirts and big fluffy socks. Maybe a blanket over my shoulders too, and turn on some nice music that I can calmly jam to, and just allow myself to be in the most ultimate cozy mode, because by being physically comfortable with myself, that allows me to feel much more at ease and less stressed about messing up my work. Even if I know that my sketch will end up in the trash, or if my manager will be like, do this all over again, I can always make another sketch and just keep exploring, because that is what life is all about. You're always growing and you're always expanding and getting better and better at what you do. Every time you make a new sketch, it's always a step forward, and it's nothing less. Before you know it, you'll create a masterpiece. Sometimes I make really good pieces by mistake. So it's okay to make mistakes, because you never know the beauty that your mistakes can grow into.